it's a safe space. We've been on a journey together. We're always welcoming people to this journey. And as I said, you know, you can just pick it up wherever you start. So yeah, complete welcome to you, and thank you for your rejoicing. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Cool, everyone. Okay, there we go. Great rejoicing. Big part of the Buddhist path, right? Strangely enough, growing up as and I don't want to knock the Catholic faith, but we always had to confess our sins, but there was never a space to be happy about yourself and the things that are going on. And as we know in positive psychology, you know, if children come home from school, we don't scold them or shout at them for low grades. We encourage support and help, right? And we celebrate them, we celebrate kids on their wins and their achievements rather than the old ways of punishment and fear. Okay, so rejoicing is a big part of that, and I think it's something that the world needs more of. I don't know, do you guys burn incense? Do you like to burn incense in your house or your home? Okay, cool. I was reflecting this morning on some really good grade Tibetan incense that I got from Nepal. And I'd like to encourage that we burn incense in our homes, especially when we're doing our practice. It's a very Buddhist thing to do, is to always burn incense. If you visit, cool, Catherine, if you visit any temples or monasteries or Buddhist places, there'll be a lot of incense burning. And for me, I like the Tibetan incense. The Indian incense for me is often very sweet. And yeah, there's some Indian incense that I do like, but I'm aware that the Tibetan, if you can find Tibetan incense, I don't know if anyone has found or can burn Tibetan incense, but it's rolled. I mean, it's all herbal, and they roll it by hand, right? So it's all these like herbs, natural herbs. There's no glue used with it. There's no perfume sprayed on it. It's all just really. And sometimes people say, "Oh, it smells like a felt fire when you burn that stuff," you know. But there's like eucalyptus and all different sort of things that they put in to the Tibetan incense. So I do enjoy it. There's, I know the Blissmonger in Johannesburg, in Randburg, sells it. I don't know, in Cape Town, I'm sure you've got a lot of option. Belinda, where are you living?
I'm in Van der Bijl Park, but it's
Well,
still in South Africa. So it's about an hour's drive from Joburg. So I also go to the Blissmonger. We're at the Bull River.
okay, nice, nice. Yeah, so the Blissmonger's got some awesome Tibetan incense, and it's worth it, right? And I've kind of dived into why do, you know, Buddhists or spiritual people burn incense? I think in the past it was, you know, in India especially, just to create a space and environment. And also, you know, there's a lot of funny smells, especially in Asia, with the open sewer system, and it gets really interesting. But I think more than that, Buddhists regard incense as a divine odor, and its smell is meant to evoke the presence of Buddhist deities or divinities. And burning incense sticks works as a sensory way to purify and sanctify the space, and then offering behaviors that are conducive with mindfulness and awareness. So for me, if I burn a stick of incense, let's say I'm not even meditating, I've just got a stick of incense burning, then it's like I'm aware, I look at it and I see the smoke rising and I can smell it. So there's sort of sensory things that come into play, and then I automatically feel more mindful, you know. Antoinette, I don't know if you burn incense in the forest when you're doing your singing bowls. Yeah, you do? Okay. So, yeah.
I do. And people, what they comment is that it actually anchors the experience for them.
Mm, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
You're creating such a wonderful space, right? Um,
Well,
and
there's the five senses, right?
yeah, yeah,
And smell is one that we often forget. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I was staying at my sister's house over December looking after her doggies, and there was a lady, a vendor on the side of the road selling sort of things, like, um, and then she was burning incense, this African lady. And I stopped and I was like looking at her wares because she was burning incense. So it almost like attracted me to what she was doing. And I said, "Oh, that's a really nice incense you're burning. Thank you." Um, yeah. So the encouragement is to use incense as a practice. Um, Sometimes when we make an offering, like we're talking about offerings. So if as part of that 7 limb prayer, you invite a holy being into your space. You want your space to smell nice, right? So often with our homes, we'll burn scented candles, or we'll spray a little bit of fragrance if we have a special guest, or we'll burn some incense. And I like to think that when I see that smoke sort of disappearing and going up, that it pleases the Buddhas. It pleases the enlightened beings. It's an offering to them, right? Now, in terms of offering, we know that the Buddhas don't need um, anything. I was told, like, I was listening to a teaching recently that they said, don't do tonglen on your guru or your or a Buddha. They don't need it, because in the Tibetan system, their practice is to see their guru as an enlightened being. So why would an enlightened being need tonglen, right? I don't know. Like, so my teacher, Lama Sumati, he's got Parkinson's, and I see him as obviously suffering from Parkinson's. So I'd like to do Tonglen on him. So that sort of bit of advice was conflicting, because I'd like to do Tonglen on him, but at the same time, I'm supposed to see him as an enlightened being that doesn't have Parkinson's, or is displaying Parkinson's, maybe to open my heart and to feel some sort of compassion for him. So I don't know. I'm still doing Tonglen on him because that's my reference point. And even if it's an illusion, I still feel maybe I can help him with it, or purify my karma so that I don't need to see teachers suffer from physical illness. Okay, whether he is suffering or not, I have no idea. Okay, it could just be a divine display. um yeah, so incense, to purify that environment, to make an offering, is really to make a connection or a bridge between myself and the divine. And if I can see the incense in that way, that I'm creating a beautiful connection with the Buddhas, saying, this is for you. I've created this wonderful, I'm burning this for you. I've put some flowers out for you. I have this offering for you. I know you don't need it, but it's for me too, because as I do it, I generate the good karma. And I was reflecting this morning that in the Buddhist canon, they say if you make offerings to holy beings, the karma for that is that you will be beautiful, because you are offering something beautiful. So the karma is that you will be beautiful. Okay, you will appear beautiful. You'll have a beautiful, attractive appearance to others, which is great if you're going to be holding space for them and teaching them. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's just that's the way the world works, right? And so to be beautiful for the sake of others, to attract others to the spiritual path, I think that's where people can use their beauty well, and not to sell more, perfume, or I don't know, whatever, jeans or something, but to be beautiful, to help others and to serve others. So if you want the karma for beauty, make offerings. I think everybody's trying to be more beautiful. We put our cream on and try and stop the wrinkles from happening, and you know. But really, to make offerings is the thing. Okay, like it's so weird. Like everybody thinks, oh, you know, if I go for plastic surgery, I'll be more beautiful, whatever. But it's really, we got to think karmically. Like, how do we improve our beauty? How do we improve beauty in the world? And then it's really a lot about offerings. Oh, hello, Nunu Cat. Beautiful. Stunning. Any questions or comments around that? Burning of incense and creating a divine space. Okay. Another thing, I don't know, feng shui. Feng shui is very interesting, right? Has anybody ever had it done to their space or their home? Okay. Where you got the little frog and the coin and yeah. So we had it done as a business when I was working with my best friend Michael, and we had a film and photography studio. So we had a feng shui specialist. Now, obviously, feng shui comes from Asia, it's got its links with Taoism and I suppose Buddhism as well. And it's like a space clearing. And then she would say, oh, you can't put like a water thing over there, and you've got to move the desk here. So you like rearrange furniture so that energy can flow better within a space. And I'm looking at all of this going, I don't know, like, seems a bit woo-woo, you know, but I mean, I suppose whatever I do, people could say that as well. And then she said something really interesting. After all she said, like she said, move this here, do this. And she said, you know what? There's nothing about this actual pattern that works. It's just in you. It's just in your mind. And I thought, wow. So there's nothing inherent about the frog and the coin and the, you know, all the little bits and pieces and the trinkets and the bells. Essentially what I believe, and according to Buddhism, is that all of those things are empty, right? None of those little magical things have a power of their own. It does if your consciousness infuses it, right? If your mind, if your spirit joins with those rituals, with those trinkets, with the bells and the whistles. Otherwise, the bells and the whistles are just that, bells and whistles. But if you believe that you are purifying energy, when you walk in, you look at that frog and you look at that, you know, trinkets or whatever, and you believe that it's purifying energy, that's the power. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd be interested to hear, because that's just sort of looking at it from a perspective of emptiness, right? We've spoken a lot about emptiness within Buddhism, that things are empty, they have no inherent power of their own. It's because we believe that they do have that power. And yes, there is an energy, especially in sacred sites. I mean, if Belinda is taking people to a certain stone circle and they meditate there, people have gone there, they've meditated there, they've left their minds, they've left like an energy in that space. And that's always been the case throughout history in terms of the Buddhist sages, where they went into caves and they meditated in those caves. And then when they became enlightened or realized and they left those caves, other yogis went and meditated in those caves too, because there was an energy in that cave. Now, whether the cave itself had an energy or it was something left behind from the previous yogi that the next yogi can tap into and ride. Okay, so that's a big question. And I was talking lately to a Buddhist master, and I said, you know, living in high-rise apartment buildings where people are like on top of each other, and they said that's going to really mess you up, right? I was quite strange to hear, because their teacher said you've got so many energies in a small area, compact space, and all of those energies, if you're sensitive, you're picking up on those energies because you're all sharing that particular space. He said, if you can, go on a retreat, get away from people, try to be in the middle of nowhere, or have a home where you are, not surrounded, or do an energy clearing in your home. Energy clearing is a big business. Hey, I got a quote for energy clearing for my house, $6,000 for someone to come and do like energy clearing. I was like, wow. Okay, what does that mean? Are you going to paint the house as well? That's like retile the floor or what? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, you know what? I don't want to discredit it. I think it's important. People burn sage, right, to clear space. Where does sage come from? Was it from the Native Americans to do, sage clearing? I'd be interested to see where it started.
Mark,
Yeah.
sorry if I can just say something. Oh, and first, I'll do your space clearing for free from Connabelle.
Thank you, Belinda. That's very kind.
But what I wanted to say about the caves and the stones and churches and everything that holds that energy. Of course, in the stone circles, most of them were already built on a magnetic energy point. And then they are also done with stones that contains a lot of quartz. So it holds that energy and projects that energy, also exponentially increases the energy. But remember, all earth contains energy and memory. So if you go and sit on any big rock and meditate, you can actually experience all of its memory of the earth and earth's evolution. So it's a bit different for buildings. This is why, when somebody tells me that I'm moving to Dubai, I'm like, oh, freak. It's like, it's so spiritually empty. But there's a lot of religious people. So they build up that energy in their apartments, and the apartments hold space. But the cement and the buildings doesn't necessarily build up that energy like a natural stone would, but it does contain the memories. So it will be built up, and that's why we clear spaces, because it holds negative energy as well from arguments and people that visit you and all of those things. And that's also why we burn incense back, is to clear that away. But I always say to my clients, it doesn't help that I clear your space and you don't maintain the energy of peace. If you have arguments or you don't physically visualize inviting peace into your house every day, you don't hold that space. So we have to take that responsibility.
100%, 100%. Beautiful. Thank you for that, Belinda. Such wisdom. And I'm in complete agreement. Yeah. Sure. Living in apartments, right? I mean, and you brought interesting how you can clear energy, but then it's up to your client to maintain a good energy, right? Doing spiritual practice, doing your yoga practice, doing your meditation, your chanting, your prayers, whatever, to make sure that none of the hojos come crawling back into that space, right? And so much of it is in our mind as well. So it's so fascinating to make our living spaces sacred spaces.
Sorry, Mark, I just also want to add, it's not just about your spiritual practices. That's why I believe in the Eightfold Path so much.
Sure.
It's your daily living. It's who you are. If you don't have that way of life, you won't maintain that energy. And, our animals tune into that energy. I always said, as the mother of the house, if I'm not in a good state of mind, 5 minutes my kids will be at each other, and 10 minutes all the animals will be at each other. And so when people ask me, how do you allow 4 wolves and 11 cats to live in peace, sleep in peace together, I'm like, it's up to me. If I'm not in peace and joy, they won't be.
Yeah, totally. And it's a big thing in Buddhism where people take their dogs, they chant with their dogs, they and their cats, they take them walking around sacred sites because they know that will influence and affect their mind stream. So it's special. I can imagine it sounds like a zoo, but it's all revolving around you and your energy and what you can do to hold the space for that. Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, ladies, we've come to the end of our session. We'll continue next Saturday. Thank you for your sharing and for your rejoicing. I know it's a bit vulnerable and whatever to share, but thank you for everyone for doing that. I'm going for a nice little hike now, so I'm looking forward to that. Right, let's end off with a meditation. So it's number 7. We're going to stop for a moment, close our eyes, put our feet on the ground. Let's take in a nice deep breath and breathe it out. We're imagining that enlightened being, our teacher, whoever we've called on earlier, they're sitting in our heart space and they're on a lotus cushion and they're radiating light throughout our being. And then a light shines from our heart into the world. Energy pulsating from our hearts, a light that just shines and expands in a circular wave, like ripples of light from our heart going outwards, keep on pulsating outwards. And these ripples of light affect all other beings, whether human or animal or otherwise. And as these ripples of light pulsate from us, we wish happiness, we wish health, we wish safety and peace to all living beings. May the precious and sublime awakened mind arise in those where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wane but continue to expand forevermore. Gewa di kewo kun, sunam yeshe zozo shin, sunam yeshe lejunwe, damba gunia topa shog. Wonderful, thanks guys. Good, we will continue next week. Have yourselves a brilliant weekend and a lovely week ahead. And just think about that good energy and incense and all of that. Like, that's a good practice, okay? Burn some incense. I mean, we used to burn incense to hide the smell of weed. So now it's like a completely different thing, you know? Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Red, Belinda, Pei, Kerry, and
Yes, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Bye now.